All right, I think we are officially recording. Um, I am Lucy Church, and I'm the Education Program Coordinator for the Colorado Agriculture in the Classroom program. And I am interviewing Rachel today, who is the creator of The Woolly Way. So Rachel, if you could introduce yourself, and I guess we'll just start there.
Sure. Thank you for having us in your classroom. This is really exciting that we're able to bring Colorado Ag to you every year, and we have a really unique opportunity to bring real Colorado agriculture straight to you. And the Woolly Way is the book we're using this year, and agriculture, of course, is near and dear to my heart. I'm an ag journalist by trade. And my family and I run a cow-calf operation in northeastern Colorado. So I'm dependent upon the industry and a consumer and a producer as well. And I'm also a former educator. I spent about 13 years in the classroom. So it's fun to be on the other side of things now.
All right. So Rachel, what was your inspiration for writing The Woolly Way?
Well, my inspiration for The Woolly Way was really the Theos family from Meeker. They have a really long, very rich history in the sheep business here in Colorado. They're a Greek family, as many of the sheep raising families in our state are, and they have a very interesting story. And I've always heard lots of good stories about the Theos family, and some of them are pretty funny, and some of them are just interesting. And I was trying to get Anthony Theos to tell me some good stories, and he was telling me about the Lantern Ridge story about the lantern growing into the tree. And so when I was trying to figure out how I was going to combine, grazing on public lands, the benefits of grazing, predator control, rural urban divide, the sheep industry, arborglyphs, all of these things together. When he told me that story, I went, oh, that's how we can do it. So that's how it came about.
Very cool. Tell us about the illustrations that were done for the book.
Oh, we are the luckiest when it comes to illustrations. Liz Munster Tiger is actually, she's from Kremling originally, but she lives over here on the Front Range now. And she and I worked together at the Fence Post for years. And she's illustrated all three of my Ag in the Classroom books, The Woolly Way, The Sweetest Treat, and Still Good. And we use lots of historical photos that we pull together in our research, as well as, that the sources give us. Shanico Wool Company was kind enough to offer us some photos to use. And she includes a lot of original pieces in there as well. And she does, so I don't know what kind of voodoo this is, but she paints on her iPad. And I don't understand the ins and outs of that, so I won't pretend to, but she makes several original pieces of art for the book, as well as things that are based very closely on historical photos. And we have such a rich history of agriculture here in the state. It's nice to be able to pull from those historical photos to use for kids.
And how long did it take you to write The Woolly Way?
Well, it took me months to think about how on earth I was going to make that happen. And once I kind of figured out how I wanted it to go, then my drafting process was really pretty fast. I write so much that I'm pretty quick. So it was really just a draft. And then we kind of kicked it around a little bit. I sent it to the Theos family to look over. The Foundation for Ag staff looked at it, and we made some little minor changes here and there. But for the most part, it was pretty close to the original draft. So I know that teachers are cringing as I'm saying, oh, we don't really do much revising. We did do some revising, but I have a lot of practice.
Did you have to do any research for this book, and what does that look like?
A lot of my research was visiting with the Theos family and visiting with Bonnie Brown at the Colorado Wool Growers Association. She was very helpful, but a lot of it just comes from, my job writing about agriculture. I'm immersed in that on a daily basis. So that really helps.
Okay. And then how do you go about publishing a book? What does that look like?
Sure. Well, once we have our draft, I really send some notes and draft, a very early draft to Liz so that she can start working on a storyboard. And then once I have the completed draft, she puts that into the storyboard and lays it out as a PDF and uploads it to the publishing platform that we use. And we use a printer that prints on demand, which just means if someone orders 3 books, they print 3 books. And if someone orders 3,000 books, they print 3,000 books. It's not boxes and boxes of books sitting on my shelf somewhere, which is a little bit more efficient way for us to do it. I wish there was a way for us to do it locally, but unfortunately, this is the best, most efficient way that we can get it into the hands of kids at a reasonable price. So they ship from whichever of the company's printing presses has room for either 3 or 3,000 on the day's run, and they ship it straight to us, or we ship it straight to Lucy over on the West Slope. And of course, it never comes in like a box of 100. She'll get a box of 183 and a box of 5 and a box of 1. But eventually she gets all of the piles and piles of copies that we send to her that she in turn gets out to the classrooms.
That's right. When you look back at the book, what is your favorite part of the book?
My favorite part is really just how we were able to combine real history with a good story. And it doesn't feel like we're here to educate you. It feels like this is a good story and this is interesting history and interesting people. And if you come out the other end knowing more about agriculture than when you started, then everybody won.
All
And
right.
the illustrations, they're
Yeah.
probably my favorite.
Let's see. So this is your 4th children's book. What do you like about writing for children?
I think that they're so bombarded with inaccurate portrayals of animals and agriculture and like Otis the bull walking around on 2 legs with an udder. It just makes me a little cringy. And I remember reading a book, it was like a little board book with my youngest, I have a little boy who's 4, and it was like different farm equipment. And one of them was a disc or a ripper. It was a ripper behind a little tractor. And it said, look at this tractor helping with the harvest. And at 3 years old, he's like, they're not harvesting. And I thought, no, they're not. And so I think it's important to have those accurate ag books available. And I hope that I know these aren't like ones that you want to read every single night, but I hope that they're interesting enough that they spark some interesting discussion about history and about agriculture and about, some of those kids just giggle when we say, how many of you guys ate this morning? How many of you ate last night? How many of you are wearing clothes? And they're all like, oh, so funny. Well, it's ag that helps keep you from being naked and hungry. And they all giggle. And they giggle at somebody that once joked about chocolate milk coming from brown cows. So if they can start making those connections, then when maybe they hear some of those damaging anti-ag type headlines, because there will be some, there are every day, then hopefully they'll be able to say, hey, wait, that's not true. I remember the story about the Theos family and the way that they treated the public land so well and sheared their sheep so they were more comfortable and treated, how in Sweetest Treat, how the farm laborers were treated so well. And I hope that that's what sticks in the back of their brain. And hopefully if they're talking about it at the dinner table with their parents will glom onto a little bit as well if they're a little bit more removed from the industry.
Right.
That was the long answer.
It's a good answer. Is it important for young people to learn how to write?
I think so. I think kids now, and maybe not necessarily little kids, but like middle elementary kids, middle school, high school, probably write more now than any generation ever. Unfortunately, it's with both of their thumbs. So I think when they apply for jobs, usually their written communication is one of the first things that people notice when they fill out that application, to filling out resumes, to writing essays, to just the ability to even to write more and to write well, so that when they read, they can differentiate between something that's written well, something that is from reputable sources. I think there's a lot of importance, just, being able to decipher ballots, all the way to having that appreciation for, grandma's letters that are in cursive. The writing is everywhere for them, and the reading is everywhere for them. So hopefully that the more we model this for them, the more they understand the importance. And I think it's nice that they can see these books and, they know me, or they know the Theos family, or they know somebody involved, and hopefully they can make that connection between how much we value it, and they see that they recognize the value and hopefully follow the model.
Do you have any advice to give to a young person about writing?
You have to write, and to write well, you have to read, and you have to read good stuff. And there's no use in reading. Oh, there's my helper. What do you got? Why are your fingers blue? You have to read, and there's no use reading stuff that you don't like. It shouldn't be torture. It should be fun and a good way to learn. So I think that if you want to write, you just have to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I guess our final question is, how can someone purchase your books? Where can they look, and how can they buy them?
Sure. Of course, they're on Amazon, but I would really rather they visit my website, which is just rachelgabel.com, and they can order there, and I'll ship it straight to them. If you want it signed somehow, I'm happy to. Just leave me a note. And then there's some businesses that also carry them. And they're, the businesses where you might think an ag book would be. Like, there's some at Livestock Exchange in Brush. There's some at some different feed stores. The old library in Sterling, the Historical Society there in Palisade. Couple just different places like that. But for the most part, my website's the best, fastest place to get them.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Rachel, we thank you for your partnership in writing these books with us and helping us to get, Colorado Ag out into the classrooms. And thank you for your time today. And I hope that it helps answer some questions for the students out there.
You bet. And they can certainly, if they have other questions, they can certainly reach out to you guys at the foundation or me, and we'll get an answer for you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.